Right, firstly, short apology for not uploading this at the usual time. I was actually away all day yesterday, so never actually got to watch the full match. All of my reactions today are going to be based off what I've seen of Match of the Day and the 20-minute highlights that Manchester United provide themselves on MUTV. So I'm not going to have a full overview of the match like I normally do, but I've had a general idea of what I think should be said about the game yesterday. And also, I want to have a quick discussion at the start of this video about how teams are approaching offensive and defensive set plays in the Premier League. Because there is some stuff going on at the moment that I am absolutely, completely bamboozled why Manchester United in particular do it, but certain other teams that have started doing it in the Premier League as well. And I'll get to those shortly. So if you've got any sort of coaching experts watching this video, please let me know down in the comments your thoughts once I get to the points I'm about to make. Because I think it is warranted discussion, because so many goals are being conceded, in my opinion, due to this new style of defending set plays that I'm going to talk about in a moment. But before we get to that one, we need to talk about this goal first, because this was, of course, the first goal of the game that put Manchester United 1-0 down after 2 minutes. And then we'll get to the second goal after 4 minutes, because it was absolutely a horrendous start for Manchester United. So we'll start with this one here. And the complaint I've got with this one here is that this is our entire team. You can count them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you've got Eriksen and Bruno off camera down here, because they're the ones that took the corner and were short for the option for the short corner. So that means the entirety of the Manchester United outfield line is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cuts of the grass away from the opposition goal. That means there is absolutely no one between Wan-Bissaka's back left boot and Andre Onana in the Manchester United goal all the way at the other end of the pitch. You just can't do that at professional level. It's just absolute suicide. You have to have at least one person back on the halfway line. We've conceded 3 times, so I checked it out. We've conceded 3 times like this in the last 2 seasons. There was that infamous one a couple of seasons ago as well, where I think we were still under Solskjaer at the time, where Demba Ba scored in, I think it was the Europa League, where again we had the entire team forward and Demba Ba just stood on the halfway line because he was being played onside because he was in his own half. I don't understand why we have the entire team committed forward on an offensive set play. It makes absolutely no sense. What's worse is our best defender in terms of tackling, Wan-Bissaka, is the one that's been sucked in here, which means that if he loses this header, which he does, then the Forest attack has only got to deal with Marcus Rashford and Antony. They're not defenders, so we need to be leaving at least Wan-Bissaka 20, 30 yards further back, and then maybe looking at potentially leaving either Dalot. You wouldn't want to leave Varane, but I would certainly think maybe Martinez, because he's not the tallest. Just leaving someone else back, not just leaving it to players that aren't very good at defending anyway, and certainly in the case of Marcus Rashford, and certainly in the case around this goal, too lazy to put the effort in to actually win the ball before Awoniyi and also get back to make a tackle, because he's just not capable of doing it. So that was my first complaint about the first goal. That's schoolboy errors as far as I'm concerned. That's an easy one to fix. The second goal, which I think is becoming a massive pattern in the Premier League, and which I'm hoping you guys are going to help me try and explain, is because of this situation here, if I skip it on. So here's the free kick before it's about to be taken. Obviously, for legal reasons, I can't show the free kick being taken. I can't show the goal. But here's how Manchester United have decided that they set up to defend set pieces. You have one person blocking the cross, be it a free kick or a corner. So you have one person blocking the short. Then you have this row of 6 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All standing across in front of the goalkeeper, which means that the goalkeeper very rarely can come and deal with it because he's got too many bodies in the way to actually come and deal with it himself. You then have Christian Eriksen standing here doing absolutely nothing. And then that leaves us with 2 players left to mark the entirety of the rest of the, in this case, Nottingham Forest attacking players. Not only that, it's the short players as well. So these are your tall players. Here's your Rashford, your Casemiros and your Varanes and all of them lot. They're not the ones marking the tall players from Wolves. It's the literal Lisandro Martinez's, and I don't know who that one is, but I know because I know Rashford's there. I don't get it. Why are short players marking tall players, and why is all the tall players just standing in the line not doing anything? The goal scorer is right here. He's actually the only one that's actually being marked. But the problem is, because they're all so squished on top of each other, and they don't really know who's supposed to be doing what, Neither of them make an attempt to play the ball. It just hits Bolly in the face and goes in. And like I've already spoken about, Onana can't really come out and deal with it because he's got all these bodies in the way. And I have to sort of backtrack some of my statements about De Gea here because we lined up like this a lot last season as well. And we'll get to a clip from last season in a moment. You cannot deal with these balls when there are this many bodies in the way, and these players cannot influence the ball because they have nowhere to run and jump. The only people that can run and jump at this ball are these players here, and they've got the massive advantage over the players they're up against. Now, the reason I wanted to reference last season is because if I jump ahead again, you'll see another free kick situation. Now, this is from the FA Cup final. You can see the ball there just under my face and De Bruyne's legs as he's about to put in the ball. Now, for those of you who don't remember what happened on this goal, the goal scorer is here. İlkay Gündoğan, sitting right nicely on the edge of the box. And you can see again the same sort of setup. So you've got Sancho blocking the short free kick like Anthony was in the last clip. Eriksen again is in that little space doing absolutely nothing. There's your line of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then once again you've got two players, Fred, and I think that's Luke Shaw, marking Ruben Diaz and Rodri. They've got the free run on the defence. These three have a free run on the back 6. But what actually happens is the ball, as we know, gets played out to Gündoğan on the edge of the box over here. Now, if we go back to the clip from yesterday, you will see that if Gibbs-White didn't put that ball into this area where Bolly scores the goal, you'll see chilling on the edge of the box is Brennan Johnson once again in absolutely acres of space. So we've not learned. We have not learned from last season that if you defend like this from set plays, you get punished. So please, someone tell me why this is becoming a trend at Manchester United and why it's also becoming a trend at other Premier League clubs. Because if we then jump to another game from yesterday, you've got Arsenal against Fulham. This is in the last minute of the game. Bear in mind, Fulham are down to 10 men. Here is the situation from Arsenal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So all 11 players are in the box against 10 men. Why you've not left at least one player up the field. And again, if I go back to the one here, Christian Eriksen does not need to be here. Personally, I wouldn't have Eriksen as the one that stayed forward. But if Eriksen's not doing anything on any of these clips here, he doesn't need to be there at all. He should just be up the field. If you want, put Eriksen blocking the short free kick and put Anthony upfield. Leave someone up the field to force them to leave players back. I don't understand why teams don't do it. And again, same applies to Arsenal. I'm not sure if that's Nketiah. I think that's Nketiah there. He's doing absolutely nothing. He could just be upfield, especially against 10 men. There's your row of players again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this is your goal scorer, Palhinha. Got no one on him at all. So why is it any surprise that when the corner comes in from Fulham, Palhinha just strolls into the area where the ball's played and puts the ball in the back of the net and the goal stands and it finishes 2-2? Like I say, coaching experts, let me know down in the comments why this is becoming a trend in the Premier League, because I don't understand it. It makes no logical sense, in my opinion, to have all of your tall players marking an area where no one is and then having your short players marking the threatening players. Like, here's the only Arsenal player doing any marking right there. That's Raul Jimenez against Jorginho. Who do you think's winning that header if the ball went towards this area rather than where it actually ended up with Palhinha? You think Jorginho's out jumping Raul Jimenez? Because I don't. I don't get it. I really don't get it. So that's why Manchester United were 2-0 down. From there, I can now do the rest of my reaction as I do as normal, because from that point, I don't think we played particularly badly from what I've seen. We had an awful lot of chances once again. We dominated the play. The wide players, much, much, much more improved. Anthony looked a lot more threatening. He was doing what we were saying about the last couple of weeks, cutting in, cutting back out. He created 2 chances with his right foot yesterday, one of them which Bruno Fernandes definitely should have scored. But love to see that from Anthony, actually causing problems to defence, because by going onto your right foot more, it gives more uncertainty to the defence, meaning that he can then come back onto his left foot more, like he did later on in the game and nearly scored with that great finesse shot into the far post that Turner just saved away. Really impressed with Anthony, and the same for Marcus Rashford. We've said it for the first 2 weeks. Rashford just has to play on the left-hand side. I don't think Martial had a particularly poor game, but we really need Rasmus Højlund fit so we can actually see how this team is going to develop with Højlund in the team in that role as the main man up front, with the wide players creating problems from the outside areas, because that's where the goals came from. Rashford gets it in the wide area, drives to the byline, cuts it back. Christian Eriksen knocks it in the net for a really good goal. Again, with the penalty, same situation, same side. Rashford squares up his man. I think it's a soft penalty. I'll be honest. I'm not going to say it here and say that that should have 100% been a penalty. There is minimal contact from like knee to thigh. Rashford definitely instigates and flops over as he does it. I'd be going absolutely nuts if it had been given against me. But again, it's just one of those decisions that once the referee gives it, it's just not going to get overturned because there is contact. Same with the red card. I think it probably was a red card for Worrall pulling down Bruno Fernandes. It's unclear if maybe the goalkeeper would have got there or Bolly would have got across before Bruno got a shot away, but it looked pretty clear-cut to me, if you ask me. And that was testament to how well Bruno Fernandes played yesterday as well. But that is opened up because of how well the wide players played. By having the width being more effective, it meant that more effort had to be spent on stopping the wide players from being so effective, which then allowed Bruno Fernandes to get a lot more time and space. And because Christian Eriksen wasn't bombing forward as consistently as what Mason Mount has been doing over the last couple of games, there was a lot more control in the midfield as well. So much happier with that performance. I think it proves that even though Mount is injured, we really shouldn't be playing a Bruno Fernandes and a Mason Mount in the same team. It needs to be Bruno Fernandes with a more controlling presence. I'm not to say that Eriksen had a particularly good game defensively. Again, I saw a match of the day, a few clips of Brennan Johnson, Gibbs White just picking up the ball and running round Eriksen. So that's a little bit concerning considering we're going to be coming up against Arsenal next weekend. But I'm much happier with the performance, and obviously in the end we've got the job done and we've got the win, which is all that matters. But to go 2-0 down to the things that I have just shown is a real problem that needs to be addressed quickly, because we cannot keep allowing set pieces to be our downfall, because we're conceding very consistently from them. And as everyone knows, we were the worst from set pieces offensively last season as well. So if we're not scoring and we're going to be vulnerable from our own set plays, and then we're going to be even more vulnerable from our defensive set plays, something really needs to be done about the coaching staff, because they are clearly setting up our set pieces completely wrong. But as I spoke about earlier, Arsenal seem to be doing it as well. So chances at a premium every time there's a free kick or a corner next weekend, because both defences are going to be set up the same way. So we'll see what happens. A win is a win. It's a very dodgy 3-2 win against a 10-man Nottingham Forest at home. But it is another win, and we are 6 points out of a possible 9 for the first 3 games of the season. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. Like I said, it was a very bizarre game, and I didn't get to see all of it, so I couldn't really give full comments. But hopefully you guys have been at least a little bit intrigued by all of that set piece talk, and I'm very interested to know your thoughts down in the comments. So thank you very much for watching once again. I'll see you very soon.